Good morning. Hope you're well. Hope you had a great weekend. Now, weekends are really important. I'll tell you what I was doing with mine in a short minute. But who reminded me that weekends are important? But none other than Noel Quinn, the CEO of HSBC. He'd done an interview internally with the BBC and sent it around. And it was a great video. And actually I thought, well, you know, for the first time I noticed some good, real, from my perspective, real leadership qualities. He's got them all the time, obviously, but it's the first time he's communicated to me in a way that I got him. And you know, he's always in the annual results, etc., and it's quite, you know, very direct and almost monotone in its information. But when you actually break down and see him as a human, he's actually got some good ideas. One of them being he walks at the weekend, and you know, that clears his head. And I thought, oh, that's something I do as well. And he also says that he's encouraging people to have freedom of expression and be free to, you know, be who they are. And I'm thinking, spot on. I mean, you know, two out of two there, mate. And then the last one was that he likes to make sure his weekends are his own and not, you know, sort of interrupted by work. I mean, obviously, some people will have to do, you know, like have to work round the clock in banks. But you know, from his perspective, obviously as a CEO, he's got to keep those weekends to his family and friends and whatever. So I thought, yeah, well done. I really enjoyed the interview. It made me think about my own weekends. So first of all, you'll see a little clip at the next, which is Harry the Heron. Now, I've got cinematic, you notice at the back it's all blurred. So I've got this cinematic effect on the iPhone 13, and you know, when you can actually press the button, you can hold it, and it then focuses elsewhere, like a bit like that. You know, there you go, focus over there. Yeah, and then they're focused back to me. So I've done that for Harry the Heron and his partner, Harriet the Heron. Here's what it looks like. Now, the next thing is up in the sky. I always like, you know, when the jets have left their trail, when it looks like the Scottish flag and the Saltire. So I noticed that this morning and done a little video for you there. Right, now, the weekend, a couple of things that were important were, I was talking last week about, you know, how I used to play the saxophone, and, you know, I got to Blue Moon level. And so when I got into Kingston, here's this guy who was actually playing Blue Moon. Now, the other thing that happened this weekend is my favourite magazine came out, and it's a big experience. Believe it or not, the simple things in life, and it's a big experience for me. So I went along and I go, I've used to getting a subscription posted to me, but I feel it's a lot better actually waiting for it to come in the shops and actually just, you know, going to see if, oh, is it in yet? And it is, yeah. Oh. And here's a little clip of me picking up my favourite magazine. Now, Jeremy Clarkson was in the papers of the weekend. He was talking about turning 62, and he said, what was the words he said? I'm 62 now, 62 tomorrow, which was probably today. Death can't be far away. Thanks very much, Jeremy. That's a cheery note, because I'm that age. Well, I'm just a little bit young. I'd be in the same school year as him, but I'm not the exact same age yet. But other people who are Jonathan Ross, Hugh Grant, Bono, and George Clooney is the same age as me, and Barack Obama. So kind of, it's weird. There's a kind of club. They called it the turning 62 club. So I'm in that club, and it's nice to see, but come on, death can't be far away. Hopefully I've got a bit longer to live, but you never know. That's why I do walks. Now, the other thing I wanted to mention was the fact that I learned more about Noel Quinn, and I thought about other CEOs, leaders, and I realised how important the words they use, and they don't often think about people. But Noel is quite clearly focused on people. He's talking to people in Hong Kong at the moment. He went over there, and they're going through some COVID problems, and he's understanding of their problems and challenges, which is great. And he's reaching out to them. But I thought of way back, who in my career has been influential like that, and I had to go right way back to George Matheson from Royal Bank of Scotland. Now he worked in America, so he came back to Scotland from he was driven to actually help the Royal Bank of Scotland achieve more, and he did that so successfully, obviously in hindsight. But it was all about words he chose. He wanted us to be going from good to great. It was a Tom Peters book at the time. He wanted us to be world class. He wanted the Royal Bank of Scotland to do punch above its weight, which it obviously did. And we were all make it happen, right? Come on, let's make it happen. And we were all geared up in our 20s for all this new language of positivity and success. So we were only, I'm a little boy from Glasgow, so it was like, well, hold on a minute, we're world class. And it was a mindset change that we had to go through over a long period of time to really believe that we were actually world class, and we've proven it a number of times, and it's sort of, it's a good thing. So in terms of words, you've got to have something that is you're motivated towards, or one of the best thing I think is motivated towards, as opposed to motivated away from, which was what we had when Fred Goodwin came around. Now, he was from Glasgow, actually quite a rough little area from Glasgow, of Fergusley Park. I'd actually came across some people from Fergusley Park and when I was about 17, and the things that went on there weren't very pleasant. It seemed to be a totally different world. But he, when I asked a senior director how did he get the role, he actually almost barked at me saying, well, because he's intelligent enough and he's got all these skills. And I'm like, okay, fine. Like, okay, right, okay. So he sounds like you've got the attitude that he's actually looking for, mate. Which is ultimately what he became. He became more he was motivated away from, which was really a case of, it was a lot of anger and a lot of, get on with it, and otherwise you're out kind of thing. More fear-based. That's kind of how he kind of communicated and ran his business, which was ultimately his failure, I think, because the people just didn't care about him at the end, and like bye Fred, and he called him Fred the Shred, and he was out on his own. Whereas if he looked after people, he would have we would have supported him all the way, and obviously not let something so drastic happen, and probably communicated better to him some of the challenges he should have been looking at. It's the benefit of hindsight. But the other thing I feel quite sad about is RBS, the Royal Bank of Scotland. It was the Bank of Scotland, and now the name's gone. In fact, it's not even, it doesn't feel Scottish anymore, probably never was. But ultimately when it came to Scottish independence, it was like, well, Royal Bank of Scotland said, well, we're going to move down south. Now, I understand that from a commercial decision perspective, fair enough, but it just felt like a kick in the teeth, because we were all geared up. We were doing this for as much for Scotland as it was for the UK economy. We were geared up in the 80s to really do very well and succeed under George Matheson, but that all fell away. So anyway, the importance of corporate leadership and the communication in that. So you have a fantastic week. That's all I'm going to talk about. I might add a little bit on after I do some edit, but thanks very much for listening, and that's this morning's morning. There was one thing I forgot. It's a very important thing. The big thing that happened to me over the weekend was the Grand National. Now, in my family, it's always been a tradition that we put a little bit of bet on the Grand National, as we do every year. So I've been doing that, you know, from an early age, and so this weekend was no difference. And we, you know, just £5, and maybe we pick 2 horses, and it's £5 each way, and that's kind of like what we do. And so this year, I did something different. The interviewer said to this guy, "So you'll retire after this particular Grand National?" And he was like, "Yeah, I'm going to see what I can do, and see if I can retire and be a success." And I thought, oh, I liked his spirit, so I put, instead of putting £5, I put £10 each way on it. I thought, oh, that's an attitude I like, you know. And he was an amateur. This was only one of his sort of side job. He had actually a day job, and I liked that as well, because I've got a side job that I'm trying to be. I'm an amateur at it, you know, various things, you know, and I'm trying to make them successful. And I thought, yeah, but you've got to go for it, haven't you? And here he was, this amateur jockey, you know, coming up, just about to retire on this last day, and he won. Now, I was watching it at the end. I didn't know who was winning. I couldn't pick up any of their names, and I was like, come on, come on, come on. Yeah, it could be one of mine. I didn't know who was in there. Could be one of my wife's, but I was like up at the telly going, yeah, come on. And then when I heard the name of the winner, I was like, what? And I ran around the house, because I knew I'd won 620 quid. So I was running around the house. My wife didn't know, and my nephew was with me as well. And they didn't know I'd actually put it on. It was just a last minute thing. So they were like, hold on a minute, your horse didn't win here. And I was like, yes, jumping up and down. Here's a clip of it. Yes! Yes! It's only 600 quid! Wow! See when the action. Now, so as it turned out, my wife also got some of the each way. So we had actually, between us, we had 4 out of the 5 placed winners. So it was like crazy. So it was a good weekend. So that was exciting. It's always exciting, the Grand National, but it was extra exciting this year because I won a few extra pounds. Anyway, speak to you soon.